Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Can we talk with Monique? I am Monique. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that little bell, and that way you'll be notified of all my uploads. Okay guys, I know this content is really kind of serious, but this is a episode of the domestic violence files. And I don't know if you are aware, and this has been all over the internet, but this is this young lady here. Her name is Aaliyah, and just let me forewarn you, there is some graphic content for those of us who have been involved with domestic violence situations. This may trigger you. So, and that's why I kind of covered up the picture there, because she is a victim of a domestic violence. Her name is Aaliyah, and she was the girlfriend of this gentleman here, who was with the Seattle Seahawks, and apparently there was a domestic violence situation with him. Now, I chose to use this picture so you could see how big he's a linebacker, and so for the Seattle Seahawks, I think they've released him since this incident has occurred. But this gentleman here is probably about 6 something, maybe 250 to 300 pounds. So apparently there was a domestic violence situation where he literally, from what I understand, he asked her to bow down to him. Very narcissistic, very demeaning. So she apparently probably was in that devaluation stage. And she refused, and what he did was choked her until she was unconscious. Obviously he hit her in the face because her face is bloodied, and he sat down to eat. She gained consciousness and ran into the bathroom to call 911, but she mentioned that he said something to the effect, and this is allegedly, that, oh, I thought you were dead. So again, we see this behavior. This may trigger you. This is what she looks like after. This is her in the hospital or in the ambulance, and they took these pictures. Again, we see domestic violence at the height of this. So let's look at this article. His name is Chad Wheeler. And his name is Chad Wheeler. And let's bring it down here. And it's basically saying here that he's a former Seattle Seahawks player, Chad Wheeler. He's embroiled in controversy after his arrest for felony domestic violence on Friday concerning a physical altercation with his girlfriend Aaliyah, where he choked her unconscious. This is adds to the lengthy list of domestic violence allegations against NFL players. But what's kicking my butt about this is, like, seriously, TMZ claims that the two were dating for 6 months. So again, very early on in a relationship, there are red flags. And I'm almost sure that Aaliyah saw something prior to this, but ignored it. And this, according to TMZ, this attack occurred during his manic episode. So what they're going to do is to try to get him off or lie and say, this man was bipolar, and blame it on a bipolar incident versus just being a huge narcissist or sociopath who hit her because she did not do what he wanted her to do. Court documents say the incident transpired after Wheeler demanded Aaliyah stand and bow to him. That's so narcissistic and so degrading. He faces multiple charges, including first-degree domestic violence assault, domestic violence, unlawful imprisonment, and resisting arrest. A hearing is scheduled for February 9th. Now, I know something about this unlawful imprisonment. That's the felony. I think I don't know if first degree domestic violence assault is, but I definitely know domestic violence unlawful imprisonment is. And then when they came and got him, he accordingly resisted arrest. But I do know something about that domestic violence unlawful imprisonment. I'll tell y'all about that one day. And so this is his quote: "It's time for me to walk away from football and get help the help I need. Yeah, seriously. Never again pose a threat to another. I cannot express my sorrow or remorse enough. I'm truly ashamed. Yes, he's ashamed and embarrassed. But a lot of times when narcissists get caught, they're not ashamed at what they did, and they're not sorry to the person. They're ashamed that they got caught. And that's exactly what this message says. He's not saying I'm sorry to her, because when she got up, he was like, oh, I thought you died. It says here, so it says his height. According to CNN, police were called to Wheeler Kent's Washington residence about 9:44 p.m. on January 22nd, where they found Aaliyah screaming from the bathroom, bloodied and beaten, where she was barricaded with Wheeler behind her. Wheeler, who stands 6'7" and 310 pounds, reportedly resisted restraint through use of a taser. Okay? So this man would have killed her. It was the grace of God that she's still here. Investigators discovered noticeable fingerprints on both sides of her neck, as well as capillaries that had burst at the back of her throat. Aaliyah claims she lost consciousness twice and says after the first time she lost consciousness, Wheeler was shocked she was still alive. Last week's brutal assault was the first time Wheeler displayed troubled behavior. So that doesn't mean that he's never done this before. He was taken to the hospital where he underwent a psychiatric eval. Seriously, whatever. That doesn't mean he's not done this before. And the NFL basically has a long history of domestic violence. And that's really crazy. It's sickening. But that's exactly what happened. 6'7", 310 pounds, and he resisted arrest. And they had to use a taser on him. So this girl had nothing. She could not. It was just the grace of God that he choked her out, and that she was able to almost pass out, because he probably would have, she would have fought or didn't pass out. He probably would have, it killed her. And so he resisted arrest from the police officers. And I'm sure after this is said and done, when they do interview her, you're going to find out that those red flags were there again, that he said something, did something, that having her bow down to him, that's part of the devaluation. But I'm sure it was more stuff before that. And ladies and gentlemen, we have to really take time, and my condolences and my heart goes out to this young woman. We're praying for her. But we have to know ourselves. We have to have dignity and self-respect, and boundaries. So when these people, no matter if they're a baseball player, football player, the president of the United States, whomever it may be, when they start and they do that doo-doo test, it's time to walk away. If they even push you and be like, no, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I was just so angry. If anybody, and you're just dating them, and they feel the need and the okay to even push you, get out. I'm sure there were signs, and I guarantee you if they interview her, and when this goes to court, she's going to say that there were other signs. They were only together for 6 months. So guys, this is a situation where another person has been the victim of domestic violence. This happens in any socioeconomic group. This happens in any group of people, whether black, white, interracial couples, whatever. This is rampant. And after 6 months, he was exhibiting this behavior. So that means to tell me he didn't just start this. These individuals are starting real early on in the relationship. They always do. They put a mask on, but they have to see if you're going to put up with it. So they'll try something. They may raise their voice at you, scream at you, push you. That means it's time to get out. Because if you allow it, then they say, oh, okay, I can, go the rest of the way with her. So I'm praying for Aaliyah. Guys, let's just pray for her. And, this is another example of a beautiful young lady. She refused to bow down to him. So what other things did he have her doing? We know that these narcissists some of them are just disgusting, even sexually, wanting you to do things that you don't want to do or are outside of your boundaries. You have to know what your boundaries are and what you're willing to accept. and have dignity and self-respect. Narcissists don't typically deal with people like that. A lot of us have had low self-esteem and did not have boundaries and did not have self-worth. So they prey on people like that. But I can guarantee you, if you have boundaries, self-worth, respect, dignity, and was like, I'm not doing that, or no, you're not moving it with me after a month. No, we're not getting married after 2 months. No, that's not appropriate. We don't do that. They move on to somebody else. So, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, another situation that could not, a lot of domestic violence takes place, behind closed doors. This was in the front of the headlines because this was a quote unquote celebrity, a football player. So we're going to pray for Aaliyah, and hopefully, she heals from this, her scars, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually, and that she take time for herself to understand, what happened in this relationship, and, how many of us have to take time to figure out why we allowed this treatment. So guys, another episode of the Domestic Violence Files. If you are experiencing domestic violence, please look down below in the description box. There are telephone numbers there where you can call to get assistance if you are experiencing this. And, for all of us who are survivors, continue to push on, to continue to strive, to do better. There's life after domestic violence. There is life after narcissistic abuse. We can live, guys. We can live, survive, and thrive. All right, y'all. Like, share, and subscribe, and hit that little bell. And I will talk to you on the next episode of the Can We Talk with Monique. All right, y'all. Peace.